Very good evening to you. Welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice on a Monday night. I hope you've all had a good weekend. Well, the international curse has struck yet again, and the news earlier today is that Niclas Fullkrug has pulled out of the Germany squad because of an injury. Now, we don't know how serious the injury is, but we're hoping at this moment in time until further news is delivered that he's only out of the squad as a precaution. However, it's the usual thing, isn't it, with internationals? We send our players out on international duty. We're happy that West Ham United is recognised. The players that are at West Ham are recognised for their performances and called up onto the international stage. And again, we have the problem of players picking up injuries. Now, I know we're not the only team that has players that go on international duty and come and have players coming back injured, but it always feels as if every international break, we're the team that suffer the most. Look, if you're new to the channel, please do hit the like button. No, if you're new or existing to the channel, please do hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, please do become a subscriber if you like the content. Look, we're halfway through this first international break of 23-24 season. And, the fact that Niclas Fullkrug is the first player to be marked down as an injury is really disappointing. There's something like 10 West Ham players that are out on international duty at the moment. And they've been taking part in a number of tournaments around the globe, which includes the totally pointless Nations League. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember when this became a proper competition. I thought it was just a series of friendlies, but all of a sudden, this has become a competition in its own right. I could be wrong. Tell me in the chat if I am wrong. But I guess, whilst some players are on international duty because they're actually playing proper qualifiers for things like the CONCACAF or the African nations or World Cup, etc., I guess all the other players have got to play something, haven't they? Some kind of meaningful tournament, hence the Nations League. Anyway, who's been called up? Well, we know Jarrod Bowen. He played 11 minutes in Lee Carsley's first game for England. For Lee Carsley's first squad game for England. 11 minutes on that pitch where he showed Harry Kane what England were missing in the 84 minutes that preceded. Harry Kane was on for 84 minutes. Bowen came on in the last 6 minutes of normal time, plus another 5 minutes of added time. And he did far more than Harry Kane did in his 84 minutes. England play Finland again at Wembley on Wednesday at 7:45. I'm kind of hoping, my head's in two places on this. I'm kind of hoping on one hand, Bowen gets recognised and starts the game for England. And on the other hand, I kind of hope that if he does start, or I'm kind of hope he doesn't start or he doesn't play any part of the game because I don't want him to get injured as well. Greece are a team that are in this group as well. And Dinos Mavropanos had an excellent game in central defence where the Greeks beat the Finns 3-0 the other day. Both Thomas Souček and Vladimir Coufal were selected to represent the Czech Republic, and they got spanked the other day 4-1 by Georgia. Now, Souček, apparently the captain of the Czech Republic team, was singled out as having an extremely poor game. Yet at the end of the match, he asked the coaches not to enter the dressing room because he gave a bollocking to the rest of the team for having such a shocking performance. I wonder who gave him a bollocking for having such a poor performance as well. Now, the Czech Republic face Ukraine on Tuesday in their next important Nations League game. As mentioned, Niclas Fullkrug is now out of the German squad, and he was in the first one where they thrashed Hungary 5-0, and he was the first to start the scoring for Germany the other night. But now, as I've mentioned, he plays no part of the next German game. They play Netherlands on Tuesday because of his injury. It's an Achilles heel injury, but we don't know at this moment in time quite how serious it's going to be. Who else was in action? Well, who else was picked? Alphonse Areola was on the bench for France's game in the Nations League against Italy, where they lost 3-1. Just goes to show he should have started and maybe they would have won. But Areola was an unused sub. And in the game against Belgium, which is on tonight, I believe so far, when I checked the score earlier on this evening, it was still 0-0. Now, that was an hour ago, so I don't know what that game finished up at. But again, Areola was on the bench for that game. Moving across the Atlantic, in South America, the 2028 FIFA World Cup qualifiers are underway. And Lucas Paqueta, he starred in Brazil's win over Ecuador in the 1-0 win. Oops, excuse me. He was in the starred in the 1-0 win. Now, he laid the ball off for Rodrigo to score, but it wasn't a defense splitting pass. It was just an easy pass in front of Rodrigo, who did all the magic. But Brazil needed that win because they'd gone 3 defeats in a row until they played Ecuador the other night. The next game that Paqueta will probably star in is coming on Tuesday night, early morning, Wednesday morning, something like the kickoff is at 1:00, where they're away to Paraguay. Guido Rodriguez has been called up by the Argentina team, but he was an unused sub in Argentina's 3-0 win over Chile. Their next game is on Tuesday evening. I think it's a much more better time at something like 9:30 in the evening against Colombia. Elsewhere, Mikel Antonio played for Jamaica in their CONCACAF Nations League. They drew 0-0 with Cuba. And Antonio is likely to be in action again against Honduras, away to Honduras, again Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. That game starts at 3:00 our time in the morning. Mohamed Kudus was in action for Ghana. He played the other night in the 1-0 defeat against Angola. And this is how his shirt looked after a bit of roughing up by the Angolan team. Thankfully, he didn't get any injuries. And he played again tonight in the 1-1 draw against, who did they play? Against Niger. He played the whole game. And he's thankfully come through the 2 international games unscathed. And he will be fit and ready, as far as we're aware, for the game against Fulham this coming weekend. Now, there's a number of academy players that are out on duty as well. We've got Callum Marshall and Airidas Golombekis were both in action for their respective national teams on Sunday. Marshall was won his 6th senior cap for Northern Ireland in a 1-0 Nations League defeat against Bulgaria. And the 19-year-old striker was a 73-minute sub in that game. Now, the other day, Marshall started in the 2-0 home win over Luxembourg previous Thursday. So why he got dropped, I don't know. He didn't score, but anyway. Airidas Golombekis, yet another name to look out for in the future, made his 2nd consecutive start for England's under-18s in the Lafarge Foot Avenir tournament. Do you like that pronouncement? Where Liam Brady's Young Lions played out a 1-1 draw against host nation France. Sunday's result marked England's 3rd consecutive stalemate, and England then triumphed 2-0 in a penalty shootout to finish 2nd in this 4-nation tournament. Now, another name. He started that game, but after missing the opening 2-2 draw against Portugal, which was played last week, and then Golombekis started in the 1-1 draw against Switzerland on Friday. So both draws with penalty shootouts, and then they ended up winning them all. So well done to him. Now, other academy players have been in action for their international sides. And the one I keep talking about and mentioned to you before He made his Young Lions, Josh Ajala, made his Young Lions debut as a second half substitute against Italy on Wednesday. He earned his first start for England under-19s over the weekend. The talented forward, who has been in excellent form for West Ham under-21s, earning him a nomination for Premier League 2 Player of the Month, played in over an hour in the England draw against Croatia. Finley Herrick, the goalkeeper, has also been in action. He played the full 90 minutes in the 2-2 draw against Italy, but was rested in favour of Arsenal's Tommy Selford in the game that Josh Ajala played in as well. Other players. Herrick and Ajala are likely to return to action for the under-19s on Tuesday when they face Germany. England under-17s, Andre Dike and Chinatsa Nwosu. I've really fucked up their names. Andre Dyke and Chinatsa Nwosu both started in the 5-0 win over Mexico. And Lanre Awusu kept a clean sheet in that win over Mexico as well. And finally, under-21s in action, Michael Forbes and Patrick Kelly both played full 90 minutes for Northern Ireland in the UEFA under-21 qualification group match against England. So well done to them all. A load of players out on international duty, which is good to see. But our problem is what happens this coming weekend, because we've got not only Fullkrug injured, but we've also got concerns over Paqueta and Antonio starting games really late on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So does that mean that these players are going to be fit enough, ready enough, not fatigued to come back and play in the game against Fulham this coming weekend? Well, before we go into that and talk about potential lineups, let's go into your chat. Good evening, Epic. I hope you're well. Usual, I hope you're well. Good evening to you. Weekend went well. Good for you, mate. Shaky, I hope you're well. Good evening, Danny. Pash, good evening, mate. Glad that the Nations League rubbish is over and we can get back to some proper football. See you Saturday. It's not over because we've got a few more games coming up. Unfortunately, Tuesday and Wednesday, a few more games where England players will be playing. Soha. That weekend went quickly, but surprisingly warm and sunny. Coldest summer here for 9 years. It's pretty cold here tonight as well. I've got long sleeved on tonight. Who else we got? Daniela, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Usual. Fullkrug is, it's a slight knock. Is it season ending or career ending? It depends on what channel you watch. I'm not going to say it's career end. Who said it's career ending? We don't know at this moment in time how bad it is. It's an Achilles injury, and an Achilles injury could put you, depending on how serious it is, it could put you out for the whole season. But I believe, my understanding is that he's pulled out of the German squad just for safety rather than trying to, so it's a precaution. I don't think it's any more serious than that. But I'm waiting for a response from a message I've sent to see if it is any worse. Ed, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Anything going on with Egan or Matip? Forget Matip. I'm surprised that some social media columns are still suggesting. Someone suggested we offered him a 2-year contract. Now, given that we played John Egan in behind closed doors friendly last week to see what he was like, I think he's potentially a lot closer to being offered a contract than Matip is. I don't think anything has been decided as yet. Obsidian, good evening to you. Late, but not late enough, it seems. No, not late enough. Good evening to you, Matt. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Glenn. Let's hope it's not a bad Achilles, because that's game over for a 31-year-old. Hope we have good insurance on him. Juha, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Matt again, hoping just precautionary. We should pull the bolt out for Duran. Knew it would bite as well. Duran could go out on as probably on international duty, and he might get an injury. So I don't think it matters about age. It's just the way it happens with West Ham players. You can imagine we would have bought Duran. He would have gone out on duty with Colombia, and he would have been the one getting injury. Still, it's 0-0 in the big game tonight. King Arthur, DRC, away to Ethiopia. Thanks for that, mate. I don't think I would have slept had you not given me the update on Masuaku's progress in world football. I mean, you know, he's a giant. We should never, ever have let him go. Who else have we got? Let's scroll down. Good evening to you. Usual. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Aaron. How are you? Howard. Still gave it all the large last week about time for Monday night show. Volcano Green. I know. Look, this was meant to be on at 8:45, and then I realised that I was quickly running out of time. I think it's going to be 9 o'clock from now on, to be honest with you. Who else have we got? Bill, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Good evening, Paul. How are you? Good evening, Hammerette. How are you? My timekeeping is a disgrace. I haven't won in weeks. Graham, how are you, mate? Is everybody else missing important football while this international crap is going on? Absolutely. Who else we got? Hammer 84. How are you, mate? Good evening to you, Anthony. How are you? Hammer it. This could be a good thing. Fullkrug, Loppy ain't going to try Bowen or Kudus up top when we have Fullkrug on the bench after Antonio gets hooked off. It could be that Antonio and Fullkrug might not be. Well, Antonio, maybe. I've got a feeling Antonio will be on the bench this weekend purely for the fact that he's starting his game 3 o'clock in Honduras. I don't know. Who can tell me how long it takes to fly back from Honduras to London? I'll hazard a guess. It's got to be at least a 10, 12-hour journey, if not longer. It's a pure guess. So he's playing at 3 o'clock in the morning, finishing at 5:30. Let's say he gets some sleep or gets straight to the airport. Who knows? Let's say he doesn't come back till what? Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. And then he's got a day to sort of like reacclimatize, get over jet lag or whatever he may have, and then be ready for Saturday. I think Antonio's on the bench that week, this coming weekend. Crosshammer, good evening to you. Let's hope the injury isn't too bad. If I find out, let me just see if I've got any more messages. Here we go. Yes, I know that. Any other news? I know that already. What does this say? Let's just see what this says. Niclas Fullkrug has picked up an Achilles tendon injury at the weekend and is a doubt for Tuesday's Nation League game against Netherlands. No shit. Nagelsmann said on the eve of the match, it's not yet clear whether he can play. Fuck me. He's pulled an Achilles and they think he might still play on Saturday, on Tuesday. Germany media and other reporting, blah, blah, blah. Okay, here we go. This is what I was waiting for. Sales profit, blah, blah, blah. I feel what accounts next summer, so we need to decide it. I don't care about what money we're spending next summer. I'd rather know that. I've just got a message about what money we may or may not be spending next summer, but I'll let you know about that another day. More about Fullkrug, really. So it seems that given what Nagelsmann has said, apparently it looks as if like he's been pulled out of the squad for precautionary reasons against Netherlands, which is the game on Tuesday. But it looks as if they've done that for precautionary reasons, then I doubt very much it would be that serious. So I would hazard a guess he'll probably not play this coming weekend, and it may be that he'll be back for the following game, I think against Chelsea, isn't it? Good evening to you, mate. Colin, I hope you're well. Heard it's Achilles injury. Yeah, Hammer 84. Please, can you give a big shout out to Rebecca? She's a big West Ham Voice fan. Good evening, Rebecca. How are you? I've got another shout out to make as well. Hang on a second before he asks me, can you do it for me? Who's the shout out for? Let's have a look. To 69-year-old John, who has been a West Ham fan since 1974, now living in Trinidad, was at the 75 and 1980 Cup finals. Big shout out to you if you're watching from Trinidad, John. I hope you're well. And shout out to Rebecca as well. Good evening to you, Rebecca. Glenn, I think we need to wait until official German news. It's all Chinese whispers. Well, that was from Nagelsmann, the details that I was sent. So they pulled him out of the squad for precautionary reasons, but that doesn't really tell us how serious it is. Daniela, Arsenal also got players injured. Don't care. Football with Brownie, good evening to you. I hope we're well. Not horny when I talk about West Ham. That would be a worry if I was. Chris, too many damn games, plain and simple. I hate it. I can't believe that we've only just started the Premier League and then all of a sudden we're getting international football. Yes, it was, mate. 6 minutes normal time and then another 5 minutes in additional time. Finland game is tomorrow. My mistake. What did I say? I think I said Wednesday. Is it tomorrow? Oh, okay. Howard, he wins. Fuck all. He wins. Harry Kane. Yeah, I hope he don't start to see. I am in a dilemma. I do want Jared Bowen to be recognised as the new striker for England. Did I say that out loud? I would love Jared Bowen to start tomorrow night, but I worry if he starts tomorrow night, you just fucking know he'll get bloody injured. Paul, Bowen was a light in a dull match. He was. Mate, he got Kelleher to pull off 2 great saves in the 11 minutes that he was on the pitch, and well done to him. Tina Turner, who said anything about Tina Turner? England played Tuesday. My mistake. Thank you for that, 10 men. Graham, I don't want any West Ham players picked for international football ever. Well, it's a conundrum, isn't it? Because we do. It demonstrates that they're doing really, really well for their domestic team when they get picked. But at the same time, you get so pissed off if they get injured. Sharky, whoever comes top of their nation's league group, go on to a playoff game for the World Cup. So it does have importance to it. Okay, I didn't. Do they? I didn't know that. So thank you for telling me that. Sarif Galispera, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Who else we got? Good evening to you, Lee. How are you? Who bollocks the bollocker? Exactly. Good evening, Martin. How are you? Matt, you can't stop players being picked for their country. That would be unfair on the players. Absolutely not. No, but we hate it. Good evening to you, Hammeret, as well. We hate it when they get picked and when they get injured. James, evening to you. I hope you're well. Steve Irons, the coach outside in the corridor should bollock the bollocker. France 2-0 up, but Areola is on the bench. Huge. Good evening to you. Buying an old boy, what can go wrong? Another 28 million down the drain. When are we ever going to learn? We should not be buying anyone over 29. You can get that sort of injury when you're 21, 22. Let's not panic just yet. My understanding is it may just be precautionary and nothing too serious. Mark, Stel, why don't you offer your services to West Ham to play up front for them against Fulham? You're young and pacey. What could go wrong? Young and pacey. If I run, I'll end up having a pacemaker put in. I'm old, mate. I'm way too old. My footballing days are way, way behind me. Who else have we got? Toha. Will McLaren do post-match interviews in a Jamaican accent? Didn't he do an interview with a Dutch accent when he managed over there? He did indeed. And yes, another player who's out for a while with a groin injury, I believe. I think it's groin, or is it hamstring? I think it's groin. Creswell is out for a while. Keith Galispera, mate. I hope you're well. Well, at least I got one pronunciation right, mate. Daniela, I think UEFA Nations League ranking use in the World Cup qualifying. I'm convinced it used to be friendlies. Correct me if I'm wrong. And now it's been turned into a proper tournament. Ray, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Hammerit, Ajala has been brilliant since we bought him in. Absolutely, he has. And I've been singing his praises for quite a few weeks. Danny boy, I heard about you from my friends. The word really gets around. Said you broke the hearts. Who are you talking about, Danny boy? Hammerit, we've just got to hope Emerson stays injury-free. I know we can put Wan-Bissaka there, but that means relying on Soufal again. Good point. Steve, good evening, mates. Galispera, mate. I hope you're well. Strikers curse. Martial incoming on a free. Not that I'm aware of. And like I said in last week's show, Steve, when Martial was on loan to Seville, whilst Lopetegui was there, my understanding is that he didn't favour the player and he kind of dropped him. So I'm not so sure Martial would be coming in on a free. Usual. On current form, Antonio and Paqueta won't be missed at all. And they both had pretty poor games. Now, I know Paqueta laid the ball for Rodrigo to score, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a defense splitting pass. Apparently, the fans, the Brazilian fans, have been getting on the player's back, saying that, he's in decline. We've got quite a few players. It's quite interesting. Like, Mavropanos has played really well for Greece. Bowen, as we saw in his cameo role for England, played really well for England. Paqueta, Souček, and Antonio have been criticised for their performances for their respective national teams. Paqueta didn't have that good a game, and if anyone watched my show I did on Sunday, I talked about Paqueta kept losing the ball, was dawdling on the ball, kept being dispossessed, etc. Misplaced passes. Sound familiar? Okay, I know he's got the issue of the betting irregularities looming over his head, but it seems, as I've said on the Sunday show, that he's carrying the form that he's been carrying into West Ham games. He's been carrying that into international games as well. But they rely on him. He's one of their main players. Souček, apparently he got something like a 3 out of 10 rating for his performance for Czech Republic the other day. Really poor performance. And Antonio hardly touched the ball for Jamaica. He's Steve McLaren's focal point for the Jamaican national team, the striker up front. But he also had a really, really poor game. So it's been a mixed bag. A couple of our players haven't played. I've mentioned Rodriguez called for the internationals for Argentina, but he didn't get any playing time the other day either. So it's quite a mixed bag for our national players. Mohamed Kudus, ironically, got criticised by the Ghanaian press for his performance, but yet he's their standout performer in Ghana. I don't know. I know it was a 1-1 draw tonight, but I don't know what sort of game he had for Ghana. But Kudus is their main player, and it was a bit of a weird thing in their 1-0 defeat against Angola. I'll show you his picture again. In their 1-0 defeat against Angola, he was the player putting in all the effort. He was getting extremely rough treatment from the Angolan team, getting kicked all over the place, having his shirt pulled, and so on and so forth. And yet, some parts of the Ghanaian press chose to criticize him and said he held on to the ball too much. But there's a big difference when Paqueta holds on to the ball too much and Kudus holds on to the ball too much. When Paqueta holds on to the ball, he loses it. When Kudus holds on to it, he's carrying it forward, trying to get his team into the game. And ironically, from the report I read, he was dropping deeper in order to get the ball to get Ghana into the game. And yet he was criticised. Very strange. Howard, Paqueta, ready? All he has to do is put in a few bets on, play, lounge on a first-class jet back to Blighty. Glenn, Fanny Stings to the rescue on Saturday. We'll talk about him in a moment. Gary, mate, I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Sharky, Stell is waiting to see if Sean Whetstone knows anything on Fullkrug. I am. And all I keep getting is no more than what I could have read for myself. And then he sent me a whole pile of stuff about what we're going to... I'll talk about that later. The message he sent me about how much money we may be able to spend next summer or in January. Joe, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. I think we've Fullkrug definitely out injured. I think Bowen up front is a must. Antonio is a lot better coming off the bench. Allows our best player, Kudus, to play in their best position. I totally agree with that, mate. Gart, good evening, mate. Ings could be good under Lopetegui, dropping deep, feeding Kudus and Bowen, and then getting into the box. Yeah, fair play. Not so sure, but yeah, good shout. Chrissy, good evening to you. He is cart horse slow for the Premier League. I guess you're talking about Fullkrug. Matt, Honduras to UK flight time, just under 15 hours. There you go. So Antonio plays 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know. Let's say for argument's sake, he goes straight to the airport, which he won't. So he's got a 15-hour journey. Then he's got a time to recuperate, and then he's got to play on Saturday. It ain't happening, is it? He'll be on the bench at best. Hammerett gives Lopetegui a reason to try another player as a striker. It absolutely does. Can only be a good thing in my opinion. I'm sure he'll be impressed once we get Kudus off that left wing. I totally agree. Who else have we got? Usual world exclusive from West Ham Irons channel. Victor. X has reported that Fullkrug has got an Achilles and a calf injury and will go for a scan. I mate, you're right. I should have mentioned the calf injury as well. Robert, so we won't know until that scan happens. Robert, Odegaard carried off the pitch on international duty. What a shame. Gary, I never even had footballing days. Played American football, though. I was much better built for that. Are you a big bastard, Gary? Am I going to meet you in the Chelsea game and are you going to tower over me, mate? You are, aren't you? I'm only 5'8", so I'm worried now. I'm going to meet Gary. I'm meeting Gary. Gary's coming to the Chelsea game. He's coming all the way from America, and we're meeting up for the Chelsea game. Really looking forward to that, mate. But I'm really fucking worried now. You played American football. I bet you're about 6'15", aren't you? I know there isn't a 6'15", 6'12", 6'10". Daniel, evening still. If a Nations League team picks players, why not put their hands in their pockets if players get injured? We would be insured. There's kind of an insurance for players on international duty, so we will be covered. I think it's covered for their salaries, I think, for the amount of time they're out. I could be wrong. Ultra, good evening, mate. What about bringing in Depay or Martial on a free? I've already mentioned Martial. He was on loan to Seville whilst Lopetegui was there, and Lopetegui didn't apparently fancy him. Depay, I don't know. It's gone a little bit quiet with regards to free players signing. We've got, it's the 9th today, we've got 5 players, 5 days, to make a decision on whether we sign any players on a free. The deadline's the 14th of September. Let's see what happens. What happens with that? What's Lingard up to these days, Martin? Danny boy, brilliant. Still made my night singing the Tams. Hey girl, don't bother me. You like your songs, don't you, Danny boy? Chris, good evening, mate. Nations League were brought in 6 years ago to replace the pointless friendlies. Was it that long ago? Where's time gone? Chris, I genuinely didn't realise it was that long ago. Wow. Trodge, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Some imbecile with a drum and another one with a trumpet ruining England under 21 games. Let's hope they probably Crystal Palace fans, aren't they? Because they got a drummer there. James, good evening to you, James. I hope you're well. Who else we got? Shaky. Are we back in for Jonathan David, or is this just paper talk? It's just paper talk. I am going to do a special show later this week. Well, no, I'm not going to. You're going to have to look out for it. It will include players like Jonathan David, and it would also relate to. Let me read the message I've got. Hang on 1 second. Blah blah blah. Fast and simplistic. Okay, 65. Never getting married. I fear for one accounts. This soon May season will show. Next summer, with wages turnover coming in, our wages have gone through the roof. We might have to make some tough decisions, but there are any variables, so we don't need to decide until. Okay, so basically, we might have to make some tough decisions at the end of this season. We know Kudus is going to be sold at the end of this season. It's not what that text said, by the way, so don't get... we know tough decisions are going to be made. We know we've spent quite a lot of money. I think about 85 million net spend this summer, I think we made. And with wages, etc., there's going to be some tough decisions coming up. Next summer, we know that. We know we're going to probably have to sell a crown jewel in order to strengthen the squad again. It goes without saying. I didn't need a text to tell me that. Mark, I know you're really young, but would really love to see I know they are really young, but would love to see Ajala and Scarles go on loan next year to see how they do, especially Ajala, given his current vein of form. I think they will both go out on loan. I wouldn't be surprised if we might just see them go out on loan in January when the transfer window reopens. Colin, still, my sources tell me that we will probably try to sign Jonathan Tah when he becomes a free agent. I know. Jonathan David, Jonathan Tah, they're all up there. Paul, guaranteed 6 points if Moyes goes to Everton. Don't guarantee it. Hammer 84. Mabama would have slotted straight in. I don't know, to be honest with you, Hammer 84. I don't know. Maybe. I kind of wish he'd stayed to see what he would have done under Lopetegui, but now we'll never know. Trodge. Then I tried what's in France v Belgium, and all I could hear was screaming kids. Am I a grump? You're no worse than me, probably. Who else have we got? Let's scroll down. Victor, Kudus with the assist for Ghana today's goal. Great. Thank you for that because I wasn't sure. I'm just pleased Kudus is unscathed. Gary, no still. I'm even shorter than you. I'm just built for running. I'm just not built for running. I was better at being more physical. That makes me happier now. We can both go around same height and have a beer or two. Usual sport. What was that? Usual sport. I like sport. I'm a physical sort. Are you all right, usual? Exactly. What are you smoking? Oh man, how are you, mate? I hope you're well. Hope you had. It was not bad. I hope you had a good one too, mate. Trudge, Hayden Hackney, come on as a sub for England under 21s. Looked very good to me. I didn't have him on my list. Hayden Hackney. Right. So what do we do with regards to the potential injury that we've got for Fullkrug and the fact that both Antonio and Paqueta may not be coming back until they may be maybe jet lagged, fatigued after playing. They'll both be playing very early in the morning on Wednesday, 1:30 kickoff for the Brazil game in the morning and 3:00 in the morning for the Jamaica game. I mean, could you see them coming back and playing, maybe starting and being pulled off? Or do you think they'll be benched? Excuse me a second. And maybe benched and maybe brought on later in the game. It's a tough one. The one thing that we know is that Fullkrug is unlikely to be featuring in the game this coming weekend. Okay, he's going to have scans on the Achilles injury and the calf injury, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. But if he's not available, could Danny Ings actually be called into the senior squad, actually be called in to actually start? Antonio, as I said, I don't know. I wonder if with a 3:00 kickoff, whether he will actually play. He might be better off becoming on as an impact sub later in the game against Fulham. And if that's the case, you've got an option. You do have Danny Ings in the squad. So will he come in and start against Fulham at the weekend? It's difficult to say. I mean, you can take your pick. I've got Mavropanos in there. He had a really good game for Greece at the weekend. I've got Paqueta in there, but you can change it. You can put other players in. You can, for example, bring Souček in and play Bowen up front, play Somerville out on the left-hand side, and play Kudus, where we know he excels, out on the right-hand side. And then again, Paqueta alongside Alvarez and so on. Or you could play Paqueta in the number 10 role. Look at that line. I mean, what do we do with Paqueta? Do we give him that free role up front and then not worry about if he loses the ball when he plays in an attacking midfield role in the number 10 role? Maybe we do. Kudus one side of him, Somerville on the other, and Bone up front. I'm in two minds. I honestly don't think Danny Ings will start. I think Danny Ings is likely to be on the bench. I don't know how many of you would prefer Danny Ings to start. Kudus in the middle, Somerville on the left-hand side, and Bowen on the right-hand side. It could be, someone's just mentioned it, that, Ings might excel in this kind of role, dropping deeper, laying the ball forward to pacey players like Bowen, Kudus, and Somerville ahead of him who could, go on to score. So there may be a role for Ings, but I'm not so sure. Souček, many people are suggesting that they won't, they don't want to see Souček in the starting lineup. And given that he's had a poor performance for the Czech Republic, that hasn't done him any favours either. But he could play in the number 10 role with Paqueta playing a little bit deeper. But as we've been saying, Paqueta has not been on form lately. And the fact that he's carrying that being out of form into the Brazil squad doesn't bode well. If he's dawdling, procrastinating, holding onto the ball too long, if he's played in a deeper role, is that going to be a lot more dangerous for West Ham playing alongside Alvarez? So I'm not sure I favour that lineup either. But when you look at this one, for example, you've got the security of Rodriguez and Alvarez in the central holding midfield role. Then you let loose the four players in front of you with Kudus on the right, Paqueta in the middle, more advanced, Somerville on the left. You've got two very pacey. I know some people have been saying you'll never see Emerson and Somerville in the same side. I'm not so sure, to be quite honest with you. I get what people are saying. That might be quite weak on that side, but I think we're doing Emerson a disservice. I think Emerson has improved immensely as a left back over the years that he's been at West Ham United, and I wouldn't mind seeing that kind of lineup. And for me, at the moment, this is likely to be my preferred lineup on Saturday. Now, you could put Soler in there, but I think Soler will probably come off the bench. You've got the young Brazilian Guilherme on the bench as well. You can have players like Souček coming on from the bench as well. And I think possibly if Antonio doesn't start, this could be our lineup at the weekend. Got Areola in goal. He's been on the bench for the France team, which indicates that his back injury is not going to be a problem. Someone has mentioned already, Creswell is already out injured, so he won't be selected. And I brought in Kalen Casey in defence. On the bench for West Ham. And so you'll have Areola in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Kilman, and Emerson in the back line, Rodriguez and Alvarez in the middle. And then the front line of, I'm salivating, Kudus, Paqueta, Somerville, and the attacking midfield, and then Bowen up front. What do you think of that? I think that could be the team that Lopetegui may go for at the weekend. Now, I know I've said that both Paqueta and Antonio are playing games very late on Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, but Paqueta playing an hour and a half earlier, getting back a bit earlier, etc. Maybe Lopetegui will say, I'll throw you in and see how it goes. But would he play two players who are coming back quite late, both Antonio and Paqueta? I'm not so sure. So I'm expecting potentially Antonio to be on the bench. As Hammerett said, with Fullkrug out potentially injured, with Antonio coming back and being a bit fatigued, it's an opportunity for Lopetegui to make a difference in the starting lineup. It's an opportunity for Lopetegui to put Jared Bowen up front because it solves another problem. Instead of having Kudus out on the left-hand side, you then have Kudus over to the right, Paqueta in the middle, and Somerville out on the left. What do you think of that? It could be the lineup that we may see this coming weekend. Let's go into your comments. Let's scroll down. Good evening to you, Terence. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Peter. How are you? Danny boy, if I stayed here with he's still singing. Mark, I'd have Soler fill in for Paqueta and Bowen as striker and Kudus on the right. I would too if I thought Soler was match fit. Now, I know he played in the friendly behind closed doors the other day as well, and maybe he is ready. So maybe in this lineup, you may well see Soler instead of Paqueta. But my gut tells me it'll be Paqueta with Soler coming on from the bench. Avram Grant slipper. Play Bowen up front, allow Kudus on the right, Somerville on the left, Paqueta central, false nine. There you go. Sharky, Stella's caught up with the chat. A miracle has happened. I know, because there really isn't an awful lot of news on. It's really about what do we do with the lineup given our news on Fullkrug. And the point that we have, John Hallett, that's the one I said, there you go, John. I gave you a shout out earlier on. I hope you heard it, mate. I gave you a big shout out earlier on as you requested. I hope you're well. James, Stell, no way is Kudus leaving us with an FA Cup winners medal in his pocket in Champions League next season. Wash your mouth out with a bar of soap. Look, mate, I'm realistic. I know we're going to probably see that it's going to be one of two. If Paqueta's whole issue with the betting issue comes and goes and he doesn't get banned in any way, then it's going to be Paqueta who will leave next summer. If it isn't Paqueta, I won't lie. Of course, I don't want Kudus to go. Of course, I don't. Who the hell would want Kudus to be sold? but I think, we might just have to prepare ourselves to see what's coming. Trod, Fullkrug has been carrying an injury when he signed for us. Who said that? That's not my understanding, but I'd like to know, Trod, if you heard that from somewhere, please let me know who from. Chrissy, we are a 4-3-3 team. Bowen has to play striker. Trodge, Fulkrug has Achilles problem for a long time now. I know he's had previous injuries, but he hasn't. My understanding is he hasn't been injured for quite some time. And this is something that's reoccurred, absolutely. But just like most players, we do know about their injury history before we buy them. Usual. I heard someone sing the words once on the radio, John Pill, and it's got stuck in my head. What song are you talking about? Colin, Stel, if Paqueta don't start, will Soler start instead? I'm not sure, is the honest truth. Possibly, as I said a moment ago, possibly Soler. But given that Soler hasn't had a lot of preseason, he's barely played. I don't think he's actually been on the pitch for PSG this season. He's on the bench most of the time. I'm not so sure. But the behind closed doors game against Dagenham and Redbridge last week, I think he played for quite a lot of that game. And if he showed that he's match fit, then yes, possibly in place of Paqueta. Who else we got? Let's scroll down. Stephen. Might as well get Ings to earn his wages. Graham. The way Antonio has been playing, there will be no impact, in my opinion. Ironically, I think, he would, bring him on for the last 20 minutes when Fulham's defense is tiring and let him just run at them for 20 minutes. Terence, just our luck with Fullkrug. Jack, release the Wonder Boy, 25 million sitting there. You're talking about Somerville, I guess. Chrissy, Paqueta is terrible. Emperor's clothes. Avram, or allow Paqueta to play up front. No, there's no point. We've got Bowen who can do that. We know Bowen is capable of doing that. I'd much rather have Bowen leading the line, to be honest. Old man, Paqueta benched for Soler. Trini, Ings is pacey over 5 yards. I'd rather have Souček than Ings. So maybe, what's the one I've got with Ings? With Souček, sorry. Could be this, Souček could be the player. Maybe Paqueta deeper, or maybe Rodriguez deeper with Alvarez by his side, and then Kudus, Souček, and Somerville with Bowen up front. A good shout. It could be that. It could indeed be that. Shaky. Somerville left, Paqueta in the middle, Kudus on the right, Bowen up top. Martin, absolutely give Paqueta that free roll up front. Good evening to you, Clive. I hope you're well, mate. Can't stop, but I'll ask you all to tap the... Thank you very much. If you're new to the channel, please do become a subscriber of the channel. Costs nothing to subscribe. And as Clive has said, please hit the like button. New or old to this channel, please hit that like button. Chrissy, Paqueta has never been on form. A few tricks here and there. Yeah, when he came to us, I think he was superb. He has had some superb games, but he's not been consistent, I would say, Chrissy. Abram, Paqueta up front, Somerville on the left, Kudus on the right, Bowen number 10 with Soler. I'd swap them round, mate. I'd have Bowen up front. Jack, Rice said Bowen was great, but Ant was the worst. Not going to deny that. Chrissy, give Paqueta a free roll up front. He can't score. Terence, yeah, all good. Everyone's saying hello to each other. Trini, Somerville worked hard, tracking back in the championship. He's not afraid of hard work. I think he's absolutely fine as well, mate. And people saying that they can't see Somerville and Emerson in the same lineup. It's going to happen sooner or later. James, good evening, saying good evening. Rest Paqueta, play Soler. If Soler is match fit, then absolutely. It's a good opportunity, to give players that little bit of respite after playing international duty, playing quite late on a Wednesday morning. Yeah, put them on the bench. And now I guess we've got the likes of Soler and Bowen who can take up the number 10 and the striker role. My gut tells me, though, that Soler may be on the bench. Martin, I really like Emerson at left back. I think he's grown on me. I remember when we bought him and I said, Christ, What are we doing? We need a left back, not a left wing back. And he's proved me wrong. I think he's been excellent at left back over the years that he's been with us. Michael, good evening, mate. Stick the mighty Irving as a striker. He's banging form. He scored a brace in the 60-minute friendly against Dagenham and Redbridge. It wasn't just him, it wasn't just Ings, who scored. You're absolutely correct, Irving. I'm doing Irving a disservice, aren't I? Because I'm not even suggesting that he will probably even be on the bench. I'm even talking about him being a player not selected. That's a massive disservice to him. Salivating still? Yes. Have you seen the doctor? Not yet, usual. Steve, love that team still, and bring on Todibo and Soler for Paqueta and Mavropanos in the second half. Absolutely. Glenn, what a team, and bench ain't bad either. Absolutely. Sean, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. It's not Sean Whetstone. Don't worry, people. He's not incognito. What have I missed? Nothing really, apart from Fullkrug being injured. Yes, great shout out, Michael. I've got to be honest, I'm doing him a massive disservice by not even having him on the bench. Who else have we got? Matt. He'll put Somerville on the right and Kudus on the left, and Pac-Man as number 10, Bone as a striker. I don't think he will. Then you're playing with traditional wingers, Matt, and I don't think that's what Lopetegui wants, to be honest with you. I can see Somerville staying. Somerville's better on the left, and Kudus is better on the right. Who else have we got? Captain Fantastic, Bowen will score twice on Saturday. So long as they don't score 3, I'd be happy with him scoring. So long as they don't score 2, I'd be happy with him scoring 2. Michael, he will get around 30 minutes Premier League game time this season if lucky. Chris, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Sorry, a little late. Been packing, ready to move home. Good luck with that, Chris. I hope it all goes well, mate. Are you moving far? Trudge. Kudus agent is his family now. They don't fill me with confidence. Look, we're going to have to be prepared. And I just think, it's going to be one of those things. It's going to be, I know we're going to be upset and we're going to be, we'll blame the board for not keeping Kudus, but I don't want it to happen, but it's the kind of thing that could very, very likely happen. We've got to get into Europe to keep our best players this season. And I'd rather it's either the Europa League or we can dream and it being the Champions League. If we got into the Champions League, I think we'll keep all our players next season. If we got into the Europa League, we might just have to sell one player in order to strengthen in the rest of the squad. But like I said earlier in the show, I'm doing a special. I'm doing quite a bit of research, so it's going to take a bit of time looking at what we can do in the summer transfer window. So look out for that. It'll go out either Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. Trudge, Dusseldorf Hammer, ITK guy on KUMB said it. What did he say, Trudge? Could his agent? Yeah. They don't fit. No, yeah, he's correct. They are in charge of his future. West Ham Massive Gatesy, how are you? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Captain Caveman, good evening to you. Soler won't be match fit. This is what I'm concerned about. I don't think he'll be match fit. Gatesy, you climbed out of that crevice, short stack. Almost didn't see you there. Who, what, where? That. Talking to her, are you? No, I won't say it. Howard, send an email to 6 Music Tom Ravenscroft Show. He will message you back if he knows. I love how you all go off on a tangent. Love it. Carry on. Still, I have a feeling from Colin. I have a feeling Loppy will play Areola, Wan-Bissaka, Kilman, Mavropanos, Emerson, Alvarez and Rodriguez, Bowen, right wing, Kudus, left wing, Paqueta and Ings. So what you're looking at is possibly this. You could put out, so a bit of a change. So you're talking about maybe having Ings up front. Maybe. It could happen. It could happen. Avram, like, share, thank you very much. I will come back as manager. Thank you very much. Do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Avram. Andrew, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. If we played a front four of Kudus, Bowen, Guilherme, and Somerville, we may lose a few games. That 75% of the Premier League would shit themselves. They'd shit themselves. 100% of them would shit themselves if we lost no games. rather than lost any. Hammerit, you can respect Antonio, but not the way he plays 90% of the time. He's frustrating. Peter, close to 250 watching. Presser, thank you again. Much appreciated. I think he's talking to you, isn't he, Hammerit? Got chucked out of the Oompa Loompa because she wasn't. Oh, cruel. Cruel. I'm not having that for one of my moderators. That's outrageous. Time him out. Go on. Go on. Time him out for that. Anthony, having to go stealth, feeling tired, taking diabetic tablets. Not, mate, you go and rest. And thank you for joining. Really appreciated. And I hope you're well, mates. Chrissy, put Souček up front and you have Fullkrug. No, they're very different players. I think Trudge. I said he rarely played well. Jet lag, which is factual. Still, we need merch. I need a mug. Oh, I don't know. I'd love to, but would people buy merchandise from the West Ham Voice? Say yes or no to merchandise, and I'll think about it. Epic. I wonder if Ings and Irving will play after scoring in the friendly. If not, then what's the point? I think the point of that friendly, to be really honest and really harsh, is to have given the likes of Todibo, Somerville, Soler, and maybe one or two others a bit of match fitness, to be honest. I think it was a bonus that Irving and Ings scored, but I think it was more, mind you, let's not be so harsh on them, because that may have given Lopetegui food for thought. He may have looked at, because, Irving, he had a very good pre-season, and maybe it's given Lopetegui a little bit of food for thought. Maybe he's thinking to himself, hang on a minute, there's a player there in Irving. And then looking at Ings, and given we might have an injury issue with Fullkrug, I don't know if it's long-term or not, given that we've got a fatigued Antonio coming back from Jamaica. I think it was Trudge maybe who said it, that he comes back, and when he's fatigued, when he's jet lagged, he doesn't play well for Antonio. Maybe I'm doing Ings and Irving a disservice. Maybe we will see Ings leading the front line on Saturday. Mark, I'm just grateful we finally have depth in the squad, in players that can come from the bench and make an impact. Quick question for you, Stel. Do you think we will do much business in January? Quick answer is no. I don't think we will. I think, given the message I read about 15 minutes ago, we may not do any business. Let me change that. I'll tell you what may happen. We've got a number of players out on loan at the moment. Ward-Prowse on loan at Nottingham Forest, and a Gerd on loan at Real Sociedad, and so on and so forth. Who else? We've got Cornet out on loan at Southampton. Let's say, for argument's sake, that we manage to sell one of these players or a couple of these players, either in the January window, or, well, it won't matter in the January. So let's say, for argument's sake, we do sell them. We convert that loan to a permanent sale of one of those players. Then we may see a bit of movement in January. My gut tells me movement is going to happen next summer. So we may have to make do with what we've got. But Lopetegui has got the players he wants. The only player missing at this moment in time in his squad, despite what we think as fans, the only player missing at this moment in time is another centre-back, a fourth centre-back. Now, that may be sorted should we give John Egan a contract. If we do, my gut tells me we probably won't do any business in January. Will the squad that Lopetegui will have, hope we don't get any injuries, etc., would mean that we will probably be okay. He will be okay with this squad until next summer. And then next summer, let's see what happens. Terence, I'm 52 on Thursday, so can we have 3 points on Saturday, please? Advanced happy birthday to you, Terence, mate. Hope you have a really good day. And of course, we'll have 3 points on Saturday. Chris, no Stel, 5 minutes down the road, but finally a place of mate. Very best of luck and congratulations to you, mate. Well done. Gatesy, if I ever grow up, I want to be like Stel. You really don't. Oh man, Souček is a big man up top. Kudus and Paqueta as 10s. Bowen right. Somerville left. Alvarez in front of back four. I don't like Souček up front. I really don't. I'd rather not. That means all we'll do is just pump the ball up in the air. You'd forget that we've got a midfield. I want to play, and I know what people are going to say. Yeah, but Souček, you play it on the floor and he's no good. I want to see Souček in midfield if he plays on Saturday. And I want to see Bowen up front. It's Bowen who I want to see up front. And the reason why I want to see Bowen up front is because it means Kudus will almost definitely move either in the middle or out on the right, and Somerville will play on the left. That's why I want to see Bowen up front, to be honest with you. When you grow up, you want to be, ban him. Michael, 3-4-3, Areola, Kilman, Todibo, Mavropanos, Emerson. I think Kilman, Mavropanos, maybe. Emerson, Wan-Bissaka and Emerson as wing backs. Alvarez, Rodriguez, Somerville, Kudus, Bowen, bench Paqueta and Antonio. Interesting shout. 3-4-3. That's very attack minded. Yeah. Shaky, I'm 60 on Saturday. What a bummer. Nothing wrong with 60, mate. Embrace it. And advanced happy birthday to you as well. Fucking embrace it. I'm 62. I'm fucking loving it. You know, people respect you when you get older, apparently. Usual. Moving can be very stressful. To Chris, I remember staying at one of the Queen's hotels for 3 years in the late 90s. Very stressful. You got a bit of dosh, didn't you? 3 years in a hotel. Lavotto, good evening, mate. I hope you're very well. Thank you for joining. Interested to see if Bowen gets an earlier run out tomorrow as a striker. Good evening to you, mate. Yeah, I said that at the beginning of the show. You know, in two minds about it. I really want to see Bowen start and play up front. But at the same time, I don't, because I'm worried he'll get injured. James, Queen Karen to break through the Champions League this season. Come on, UKs. I've got no clue what you're talking about. Called me out. I best behave. Well, who else is he talking about? Gary, I'm actually not against trying Souček out as a striker. I fucking hate the idea. Absolutely. Put him as a number 10 if you want, but don't put him up front, because all you're going to get is balls being lobbed from the back all the way up to... No, don't do that. Don't do that. Hope Irving gets a chance. Terence, yes to merchandise. Yes, I'll buy a mug. Yes. Old man, yes. Chris, just be beasting into it. Usual. Beasting into it? You're moving. I don't know if you're doing anything else there, Chris. Yes to merch. Aaron, I want a big Stell poster to put on my... You fucking don't. You sad bastard. You really don't. Yes. All right, then I'll go out and buy 5 mugs and send them all out to you. Gary, I buy West Ham Voice merch, but international shipping is extortionate. I'll try and get one to you before you go back. I'm promising too much there. I forget that. Yes, if you ship to Canada. Yes to merch. Chris, yes to merch. Fucking hell. A Stell calendar. Daniel, I buy a mug with you on it saying I'm not so sure. Yes to merch. Thank you, people. All right, I'll give it some consideration. Howard, yes, I can do some West Ham Voice wooden butt plugs for you still. Hammer 84. I want a t-shirt with still on it with thumbs up, headed West Ham Voice. I like that. Irvin is a cult player in the making. Good evening, Jack. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Just logged in. I hope you're well, mate. Going on Saturday to Fulham. Am I going to see you there? I'm sure we are going to bump into you. I think we're starting off in Hammersmith, Jack. I can't remember the name of the pub. It's Weatherspoons down there. You probably know it. So if you're going, message me and we'll meet up before or after, whichever. Michael, Gooners, fuck, we won't worry about Fullkrug injured. They just lost Odegaard. What a shame. No, I hate any player being injured, especially West Ham players. Terence, Stell calendar with West Ham Town. Lanzini was lightweight, didn't affect him in the Premier League. Well, did affect him when he got bad injury. Ian Wright was pretty lightweight. Yeah, true. Okay. Yes to merch, Tony. Gatesy, Messi ain't exactly a monster either. Short stack. Matt, A Gerd deal, no option or obligation to buy. There's no obligation. There's no option or obligation for any players we've sent out on loan at this moment in time. I was just sort of like playing devil's advocate. If we managed, to change one of those agreements round and sold someone in January, would that make a difference? Maybe for January, yes. But my gut tells me we'll be looking at the players that are out on loan at the moment. We'll be looking to sell them. Forget Zuma, he's gone. End of the season, his contract's finished anyway. But when it comes to Ward-Prowse, Gerd, and Cornet, it's very likely we'll be looking to try and sell them either to the clubs that they're at on loan or sell them on elsewhere anyway. Peter, the thing with Fullkrug is you can't miss what you've never had. Good point. Gary, Stell, should there be a hostage pick on the mug? Michaels, Trudge, we need a voice mug with I'm only a few minutes late. I like that. I want to Stell bong. Those days are gone for me, mate. Terence, thank you and thank you. I don't know what you're thanking me for, but thank you. Peter, doesn't Todibo deal become permanent after he makes five appearances? He does indeed. And that's a commitment of £34 million next summer, straight away, that we've got to find. Colin, Stell, what about striker in January? I genuinely don't think. It depends on where we're at the moment. From the messages I've been getting, in terms of wages, money spent, etc., I think the senior source is having a squeaky bum time. And it looks like we may not get, that's why I said, if we might be able to move any players permanently in January, and there is a possibility, we could end up, we've got several players who are going to be in the last 5-6 months of their contracts. We might move one of them on. I can't see that happening, to be honest with you, which is why I'm not so sure there'll be much business in January. But it also depends on where we're at. It's one of those things. If we're doing really well in the league and we need that striker just to give us that impetus, then who knows? Maybe we'll get a striker on loan. If we're doing really badly in the league, then again, we may need a striker to just get us up that league. So I'm not saying no to it, but I think it's more doubtful that we'll get anyone in January. Andrew, we can play Bowen up front, Kudus on the right, Paqueta, Soler, number 10, Somerville on the left, which is what I think, Andrew, which is that right there. Who else we got? Hammerett, Somerville. Let's remove that. Somerville isn't match fit enough yet. Then at the very least, if Somerville isn't match fit, then at the very least we can swap Kudus and Paqueta around. Yeah, good shout. Steve, merch, yes, shirts with Greek slogan as I'm off on holiday in the Greek islands and Cyprus. You're going to love Cyprus. I don't know about those dodgy Greek islands, but you're going to absolutely love Cyprus, Steve. I guarantee it. When you get over there, just say I know Stell. And there'll be about 500 blokes turn around and go, how do you know me? I laugh at my own jokes. That's how fucking sad I've become. Aaron, I don't want to see Souček up front. I want to see him up in the stands. Peter, Areola 50-50. Well, he can't be. He's been on the bench for the last 2 French games. Oh, no. Yes, he has been on the bench for the French game. So, no, he'll be playing on Saturday without a doubt. No, I do not dye my hair. I swear on my life, I do not dye it. Peter, Bowen should cry off with an eyelash injury just like other players do. What went over my head? You're going to have to explain. I'm probably reading them out too quickly and not getting the joke. James, Stout, I'm getting bored in the safe house, but is it too early to say that Kudus is our best right-sided forward? Oh, yeah. What was it you said? I've forgotten what you said, and I did warn you that maybe you ought to hide away for the next few days with a comment that you made. Trini, that long ball from the wings used to be called a cross. Fair. I wasn't actually talking about a long ball from the wings. I was talking about a long ball from the back. But you are right. Am I retired? I fucking wish I was, mate. I'll tell you. I can't wait. Another 4 years to go. 3.5 years to go. Peter, still, don't go down the road of selling blow doll lookalikes like Russ and Anton. Andrew, if we have any aspirations of finishing in a European place this season, we need to be leaving with 3 points at Fulham on Saturday. Totally agree. We need to go on a good run now with our games coming up. Absolutely agree. Yeah, a shirt with spice rum on it. That'd be good. Um, Trodge, we find out what happens to Lucas Paqueta in January. I mentioned that in the show the other week, I think last week. We don't know. We think it's going to be January. We're not 100% sure yet. He could go the whole season without us knowing what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be kept that long. Now, my understanding is, from what I said last time, it's his lawyers that have asked for more time to prepare. So we think that the case will be heard around about January time. Um, Otherwise, I don't know, Trodge, is the honest answer. Robert, Ings will go in January. Well, he didn't want to go. And I said this in the show last week, I think. He didn't want to go in the summer when he was offered a move. I doubt very much. I've got a feeling Ings and probably the other players that are coming up to their end of their contracts. Who else? Well, Zuma's going anyway. Antonio, end of his contract at the end of this season as well. There's one or two others. Sufal at the end of his contract as well. I've got a feeling that maybe one or two of these players might stay on right through. They'll refuse to go anywhere because what it means is, of course, is that they can sign with a big signing on fee for any new club they go to. How much do you think Ings will get as a signing on fee? I don't know, but they can all go on a free and sign for a new club rather than going to a club that we want to sell them to. So I've got, my gut tells me, Robert, is that he might stay until the end of the season. Gatesy, if you could get me a Wiggy Special shirt with the West Ham Voice logo on it, I'd buy it. That'd be a challenge. Colin, 4-2-4, Areola, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Emerson, Kilman, Mavropanos at the back, Alvarez and Rodriguez in the middle, Paqueta on the left, Kudus, Bowen up front, Somerville or Guilherme on the right. I can't see Somerville. Guilherme, interesting. Who knows? He might eventually get game time as well. I agree with the players. I don't agree with formation. I think Paqueta is likely to be the number 10. I think Kudus is likely to be out on the right. I think Somerville is likely to be out on the left. And I think Bowen will be up front. James, we have a strong enough squad. People already thinking about January. Well, I get it. I'm thinking about next summer and what we're going to do there. Terence, Saturday will be a hard game at their ground. Absolutely, it will be. Let's not take them for granted. To Robert, Ings may not go if we lose Fullkrug to the season. Has anyone said that Fullkrug is likely to be out for the season? Because that's not the official information I'm getting at this moment in time. Paul, Ings hat-trick on a Saturday. Imagine that. Give Ings a chance, Jack. Jack, honestly, mate, do you think, would you not rather see Bowen up front rather than Ings? Peter, hope Soler doesn't melt on the boom boom. Do you remember your 60th birthday, Gatesy? How old are you, Gatesy? You're a lot older than that. Good evening to you, sir. How are you? Zeus causing chaos. Oh, by the way, I've got a series for you. It's got what's his name? Oh, fucking hell. Anyway, the series is called Chaos. And are you watching that, Nigel? Is that what you're referring to, or is that just a pun? Because there is this series at the moment called Chaos, and I'm trying to think of the guy's name who was in. His name will come to me in a moment. But it's great, and it's a modern day. It's a modern day setting about the ancient Greek kings, the ancient Greek gods. Sorry, it's called Chaos. Look it up. I think it's on Apple. So anyway, you can't do that, Nigel. You caught me off guard there. Who else we got? Andrew. Terence, Fulham are a good side, but if we expect to finish in European places, we need to win. And he agrees with you. Bone up top. Kudus on the left. Ruben, no. You know, the whole idea of putting Bone up top is to have Kudus either in the middle or need him on the right side. Nigel, senior source thinks it will be January, but can be anytime. That's about Paqueta. Yep, thank you for that. You're letting out secrets there, Nigel. Peter, Fulham, Chelsea, Brentford, Ipswich, Spurs, Man United, next six league games. 3, 3, 3. 3, 3, 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 points. 18 points. Michael, the Pac-Man case could take up to 5 years with all the appeal. That is very true. I remember I talked about that some time ago and said, with his lawyers, they could be appealing and appealing and appealing. The only thing is, what we won't know, Michael, is during if he gets convicted, if he gets found guilty, and then he appeals, would he be able to play during appeal? That's the grey area we don't know about. You're absolutely correct. They can put in appeal after appeal after appeal and prolong it, but we don't know whether he would be allowed to play during appeal. It's quite unprecedented, so we don't know. Who else have we got? Andrew. They should be fearing us more than we fear them. Absolutely. Stel, I hope you haven't started missing the AA meetings. Brian, to West Ham boys, condoms you can trust, condoms you can believe it. Fuck yeah. I love that, Brian. Mark, because Fullkrug is injured, we should put Kudus as a centre forward with Jimmy on the left, Bone on the right, Paqueta as a number 10, Soler as an 8. I wouldn't mind that either, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind putting Kudus in the middle. Absolutely agree with that. Not going there. Matt, Michael, let's go to that one. If we lose Kudus next summer, get Eze in as his replacement. Poor man's Kudus, I say. Good player, but I'd have Kudus anytime. But no, good shout, to be honest with you. Matt, I'm just saying it's a possibility he might be out for the season still, but to hear regarding, we'll hear regarding this after the scan. Absolutely. Thank you for that, mate. It's just that I think one or two, that's who I'm taking. Jeff Goldblum, you've even spelt it wrong. My lookalike, fucking Jeff Goldblum. He's not as good looking as I am. That's the pro. Are you referring to that program? People, you've got to see it. It's Jeff Goldblum's in it. He stars as Zeus, and the program is called Chaos. You'll love it. It's weird, but Jeff Goldblum is weird, isn't he? Peter, didn't Kudus play well in games when played as a striker for Ajax? I'm not sure he ever played as a striker. I might be wrong. I know for Ghana, he plays more centrally, which he did in the last 2 games. I know he's also played out on the right for Ajax. I think he played as a false number 9 or like a number 10. I could be wrong though, Peter. Could be wrong. Jack, you know what Bowen can do. So seriously, why not give Ings a go? If it don't work, then that's it. Yeah. All right. Fair play. Yeah, I got it. Jeff Goldblum. Toha. Even if Stel says his name, it will be mispronounced. So I've got a rescued Cypriot cat that we've called Chaos. Never had a cat. Never has a cat been so aptly named. They're fucking great cats, aren't they? Fucking best animals in the world. Look at it. The poor one that's left us. You know, they're great. You don't have to look after the fuckers. Just let them run riot. You know, all this dog shit. You know, well, not literally dog shit, but all the dogs. Oh, they get up and they know, oh, please love me, and all that bollocks. Take me out for a walk at 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm wide awake. Fuck off. Cats, best animals in the world. Jeff Goldblum is Stel's cousin. I wish I was. He might give me a few quid. Peter, anything starring Jeff Goldblum tends to be fly-by, boom, boom. I think it was our luck. Everything will go tits up with Pac-Man. We don't know, do we? I mean, that's going to have a significant impact. If he gets found guilty and if he's banned, that could have an impact on our season. And what do we do then? But then that's why I do think that's why Lopetegui has brought Soler in as insurance for Paqueta. Colin, Stel, I've just had text from a source of mine tells me that he has heard Fullkrug expected to be out for a while. There you go. Well, we don't know until we have the I'm going to read that one in a minute. We don't know until the scan's been done, but it's very possible, Colin. West Ham boys condoms guaranteed you come. Daniel, get Irving on for Fulham. He's shown more than Antonio and Fuller and Souček when played. You know what? Why not? Why not? Charles, sorry, late in the show. Still, thank you very much. I put it a like. Thank you very much. If you haven't hit that like button yet, 262 people watching. What are you waiting for? And if you haven't become a subscriber yet, then come on, people, subscribe to the channel. Troch, Kudus was very good versus Rangers twice in the Champions League as a centre forward. Do you know, I didn't know, I knew he played centrally, but I didn't know he actually played as a striker. Thank you for that, Troch. Jack, I think to keep all our star players, we must qualify for a European competition this season. Absolutely. Plus, for our own sanity, Jack. I mean, shouldn't we be arranging to go on some European tour by now? It's disgusting that we've got to stay in England and, not have travel and arrangements to sort out. What's happened? Michael, do you think captain is on Bowen's mind? He hasn't had a good start to the season by his standards, but looked like the old Bowen playing for England in those few minutes. No, I actually don't, to be honest with you. Of course, it's a responsibility. Absolutely. But I think, as we said in the show the other day, I think he'll grow into the game. Talking Hammers, good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Have you guys heard about the fan-led mosaic? Yes, I have. In the Bobby Moore lower. Yeah. I'm in the Bobby Moore lower. They're asking us to fucking sit down, let alone put a bloody mosaic over our heads. Yes, I've heard about it. Nigel's heard about it, haven't you, Nigel? Would you like to tell people what you think about the mosaic? Trini, I agree about cats, mate. Had them for years. Love their wild independence. Best things in the world. Sharky, cats don't give a fuck about anyone. That's why I love them. James, Cyprus 1 wins. Cyprus 1 win and 1 loss still. In-depth thoughts? Fuck me. I ain't got a clue who plays for Cyprus or what their team's like. I've got no idea. Keith, still, Chaos understands Cypriot as well as English. He ignores me in both languages. I love it. Michael, Achilles can be anything from 4 weeks to a year, depending on the tear. It could be, but we don't know until that scan's been had. Gatesy, West Ham boys condoms, put it on before you put it in as a contingency plan. Get West Ham Rams. Trini, Lewis Orford and Josh Ajala been nominated for Premier League Player of the Month award. They have. Both great, both fantastic. Josh Ajala, could he be called into the senior team? Let's scroll down. Stell's got his mosaic square in the post. Nigel, I love mosaics. I bet you do, especially West Ham ones. Peter, travel with Stella Airways and join the Mile High Club. You lot have lost it. Mark, hope Bowen gets 45 minutes against Finland up front after Kane has shown off his golden boots in the first half. Or 45 on the right with Saka subbed at half time. So long as whatever amount of time he plays, so long as he comes through it and he's okay. Is Andy Carroll available? Where is he? He's playing in France, isn't he? He's lording it up in France, I think. I can't remember what team it was. I'm down to the bottom. We've done an hour and 23 minutes. Anything else you want to talk about before I go? Otherwise, I'll have to call it a night. But look, I'll tell you what. I'll do a recap, shall I? Let me do a very, very, very quick recap. So, Jared Bowen, he did more in his time on the pitch for England than Harry Kane did in the game against Republic of Ireland the other day. If he does play for England against Finland, let's hope he pulls through. We know Kudus has played and he's okay. Thomas Soucek was not a happy captain, had a go at his team in the dressing room, and I wonder who had a go at him because his performance wasn't great. Niclas Fullkrug, as we know, Achilles and a calf injury. We don't know how bad it is at this moment in time. We're waiting on a scan, but it looks like he may be out of the game this coming Saturday. Lucas Paqueta, the next game he's playing for Brazil is going to be a starting time at 1:30 in the morning, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So will he be back, ready for the game against Fulham on Saturday? 50-50 on that one. But Antonio, his game starts against Honduras at 3 o'clock on Wednesday morning. My gut tells me he'll be on the bench this coming weekend. So given that Fullkrug is likely to be injured, and given Antonio is going to be fatigued, who are we going to have up front? Well, Mohamed Kudus, he's played both his games, as I've just mentioned, and thankfully, despite having his shirt ripped off his back, he's come through it unscathed, and he will be ready and available for the weekend. We've got a whole host of young players on international duty. Ariadas Golombekis played. He's got, I think, his third cap for the England team. He's one of our young centre-backs, I believe. And Josh Ajala has been called into he's played games for the under-19s, and well done to him because he's having a superb season for the under-21s. So given that we've got injuries, what sort of team do we think we're going to have on Saturday? We could see Danny Ings coming in place of Fullkrug. I don't think Antonio will play. I think he'll be on the bench. So Danny Ings is one of our strikers. So you could see Danny Ings playing. And you could have a lineup with the likes of Kudus in the middle, Bowen out on the right, Somerville on the left. And you could either have Paqueta or Rodriguez lining up alongside Alvarez in the middle. Or you could have Thomas Souček, despite his poor performance for the Czech Republic. You could have Bowen up front and Ings on the bench, and maybe Kudus out on the right, Somerville on the left, and again, either Paqueta or Rodriguez alongside Alvarez. Or Alvarez in the Rodriguez in the team. You could push Paqueta more forward, Kudus on the right, Somerville. This is my preferred lineup. Kudus on the right, Somerville on the left, with Bowen up front. Now, people have said maybe Soler could be in instead of Paqueta. I'm not so sure. I think we'll get Soler. If Paqueta plays, if he starts, I think we'll see Soler probably in the second half because of Paqueta coming back late from the Brazilian game. Right. Brian Deere would have a go. Night all hammers. Stel, do you reckon Loppe is expecting to qualify for Europe, considering the squad he has for that he is looking at doing? I believe he is. Absolutely. Hammer Mulder, afternoon. Hot out here. Is it, mate? Where are you? Oh, mate, it's not hot here. Thank you very much, mate. So Ings must start, Stel? Don't know, Jack. Don't know. England, under 21 England's 1-4-1. Peter, rather have Ajala on the bench instead of Antonio. Hammer 84. Every merch order, you get a free Stelios cardboard cutout face. And please, God, no. I agree with that as well. Right, people, that's it. Thank you very much. Really appreciated. Thank you for watching. We're getting back to normal, aren't we? A few more games left in the internationals. And then from Wednesday onwards, we can start talking about the squad. We'll have a much, much better idea what the situation is going to be like with regards to Fullkrug. Hopefully, we'll know by then. So watch out for that. I've got another special show coming up, I said, about summer. And I know it's way off, but I've got a theory. If we don't have any money to spend, we're going to have to find a way of getting players in one way or another. So watch out for that show when I put it together. It will happen either on Tuesday or Wednesday morning. So look out for that. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a really good week. Fingers crossed for Bowen and every other player that's out on international duty. Let's hope they all pull through, and we'll see you all very soon.